All right, so welcome everybody to this remote interview. My name is Lisette, and I'm interviewing people and companies doing great things remotely. And today on the line, all the way from beautiful Florida in the United States, I have Dea Woodard. Dea, you are a business consultant and a lead facilitator. You specialize in topics around leadership and remote and hybrid work, and you are passionate about personal user manuals. So we're going to get into all of that, but let's start with the first question, which is what does your virtual office look like and what do you need to get your work done?
That's a great question. And I love to hear everyone answers, by the way.
I do too.
Um, yeah, it's like, oh, I love to travel around everyone's houses and spaces. But so for me, I do have a couple of different offices inside my house. But what is the most important thing for me is my computer and a set of monitors. I tend to have at least an extra one. So in some locations of my house, I have like two monitors set up. I have like a main office, but I like to travel around the house depending on the work that I'm doing because I feel that I'm more productive in different areas or different lights or like breathing differently. So I like that traveling inside the house. And I also like to have the same setup when I travel because like remote work for me, what is important is to travel around the world and like in being different locations. So I do have like a small monitor that I can bring with me whenever I travel. So it's kind of like a portable monitor that I travel with me too. So I would say like additional monitor and my computer. It's the main thing for me.
And then you can just be anywhere with a good Wi-Fi connection and get work done.
Exactly. Yeah, and a good notebook and paper because like I like to write things as well.
Yeah,
I'm always
totally.
like drafting things. Yeah. Like that's me.
Yeah, there's something about the physical, tactile thing that really
Yeah,
is
right.
appealing.
It
I'm
helps
curious.
my brain to work better that way.
Yeah, I can imagine lots of people can relate. I'm curious though about your movement around the house. Does it have a particular pattern or is it really
Um,
random dependent on the work?
it depends of the work and depends of like what I'm trying to focus on. But I do have one that I usually work in the morning, which is where you see right now, which is my main office, because I have like big window here that is not too much light coming up, but enough. And then I can see like the dogs going for walks and my neighbors, like exercising outside. So that really motivates me in the morning. In the afternoon, I like to use the other tools because then there's too much light here and it gets too hot temperature hot. So I don't like that. And then I moved to the other two, so which is upstairs. Then I do have one that is more sometimes a place that I like to write more or either like on paper or if I need to type something. And then I have a big one that I have like those ridiculous big monitors that like when I have to do like presentations and then I have to have different apps open, like kind of like multitask, and then I use that one that it's very helpful. So
Right? You need the real estate for like the
yeah,
polls and the
yes,
slides and the
exactly.
notes.
Like I need like everything like super organized because yeah, it just depends what I'm doing, but those are the options that I have at least when I'm home, right? And when I'm not home, I either just work anywhere private that I can set up my computer, or sometimes I go to co-working spaces or whatever. It depends what I need. If like a presentation, right? A workshop that I'm facilitating or something like that, then I probably will go to like a more professional place that I know that I'm gonna not be bothered, right? And then
Yeah.
have the tools that I need, that kind of thing.
You don't want to be giving a workshop right in the middle of Starbucks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no.
it's just not the right, just not the right
Oh,
place.
my mom's living room for that matter, that's gonna be very messy.
Right, 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 exactly. Exactly. Like professional things, we keep them professional. I like
Exactly.
that as well.
Yeah.
So I want to dive into personal user manuals. And I know people that listen to this podcast, they've heard about personal user manuals before. So we're not going to talk so much about what they are, but I want to talk about, when did you first learn about personal user manuals? We'll start there.
So
I've got a million
yeah,
questions.
yeah, I like it. Yeah. So I find out, I want to say like back in 2018, maybe. I was working with a company. I was part of a team. I was trying to figure out ways that we could be more collaborative. And then I found that, I really connect right away with the personal user manual. I thought that it was a really great idea. Um, but then at the same time, the company that I was working with, it was not necessarily like a place that it was very welcoming in sense of like using the personal user manual. So I create myself, and then later on I moved to like you start like freelancing with other agencies and teams, and then it was really great, like to kind of like have the tool that we would start setting the tone of how we work better together, how we the time zones that we're working, because that was the real first time that I actually get the chance to work with people from around the world, and then we were in completely different time zones, and use different tools to communicate. So like we kind of center everything, like really setting the tone, like what would be best for each one of us, and then we went from there. But like 2 years, 2.5 years ago, that's when I kind of like dive in even more, because that's when I figured out that I wanted to start working for myself, like really freelancing. And then it got me thinking like, how can I use personal using manual if I am a freelancer, if I am a consultant, right? Like I'm not necessarily part of a team, but like how can I do that? And then that's when I start like to figure out like that is actually could work as well, right? Because like it's me setting the tone of like how I want to collaborate with anyone, really. It's not just like with a specific team, but like absolutely with everyone and anyone that I came along with. And if you look at my the layout that I have in my personal user manual right now, you can see that it's kind of like based on that idea, right? Like it doesn't matter if we work on the same team right now, but if you are just trying to network with me, like you can get to know me a little bit. If you're trying to work with me, like that is the stuff that you can check over there. If you're trying to hire me for once, like because that's also something that I've been working on and get again another full-time job. So like trying to figure it out how I can collaborate with people, even if right now I'm not part of the team. That's kind of like evolve, like open my mind like about like how we can use personal user manuals, like um, like broadly, really. Like
And
that is so much that we can do.
I love how you've categorized yours. So if you open Dea's user manual, you'll see she's got it in Notion, and I'll put that in the show notes. But you'll see she's got a category for if you're just curious about who is this person, I don't know, or if you want to take workshops from her, right? You just got a category for the workshops. You've got something for networking, something for hiring you, something for working with you, and then random articles and links that you like. So even just by how you've organized your manual, people can get an interesting idea of more about you. And then you've organized it for them, right? This is your table of contents.
Yeah.
So how do you use it?
So that is a great episode from your podcast that I absolutely love. That was, I don't know when, a few months ago. That it was Dr. Deb something, I forgot her.
Deborah Mashek. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So that she says that collaboration is relationship science, right? And then I figure that okay, so if it's a relationship, right? Like how can we find ways to create that relationship, or how we introduce ourselves to the other? How do we like maintain that relationship, right? And that's what's kind of like how I figure that the personal user manual is, because I was like, how did I really start any relationship in the past? And then I figured that like in my life, it was everything online with profiles, right? So like friendship is social media profile, dating, it's social media
Dating profiles.
profile.
Yeah.
It's like whatever. It's like, and then I figured that the personal user manual is a little bit like that, right? At least for me, it's kind of like it's a little bit of a profile that I'm creating, so anyone can get the chance to get to know me. Some people would not necessarily get connected right away or not show any interest, and that's fine because I'm not for everyone, right? It's kind of like dating again, right? I'm not for everyone. But like if you get the chance to read a little bit, or uh, I don't know, to get a sparkle in anything that I wrote there, like it is a great way for us to create rapport, to start a small conversation, to like really figure out like how we can work together. Because at the end, what is really important for me in anything that I do, and I mean in really anything that I do on a personal professional level, is what like who I'm working with. And I know that you are like that too, because that is right there in your in your personal user manual. That is about like who we work with and not necessarily what you do. And I feel the same way. So like for me, it's important that like I connect with the people more than anything, like, and when I go back to the previous job that I have, it's like sometimes we're really nightmare. But if I think about it, what I remember, it was like I had so much fun with the people anyway, like it was a nightmare, but we laughed. We
Right.
had a great time. We were able to connect, and then became friends after all. So it was not all bad because the people make great. And then I think that for me that is what is important. So yeah, that's kind of like my idea of the personal user manual, or how I use and how I create like and edit and really like keep a work on it in ways that like how I can show up to people in a way that I'm going to attract also the people that like we are good to work together with, right? And to network. And I figure that it has been very successful in that way so far, especially in the network sections, since that I'm not working with one specific team. Like I've been able to connect with a lot of people, like even on LinkedIn, for example, that they take the time, they read a little bit of my personal user manual, they reach out to me like in many different ways. Oh, I saw that you like this, or I saw that, that it was your birthday. Like I saw that it was written right there that it was your birthday, and then happy birthday or something, There's always someone that reach out to me like really mindful and really creating rapport from something that they already saw on my personal user manual, which is a completely different approach, right? Like you really like taking the time to get to know the other one.
I really like that you make the analogy towards social media profiles because it really is just an online profile, but it's branded by you. It's created
Mhm.
by you. You can share what you want, and there's no data going anywhere. It's just you on whatever platform you like. You could make a physical drawing and post the pictures or whatever.
Exactly.
Lots of people are doing. I mean, and that's also one of the things that I like is the variety of
Yeah, I think that
expression.
it is a great tool for self-expression, right? It like that is no template necessary. Like we can even provide one, but like really isn't necessary. How about you really find out what you like, how you want to present yourself, if you want more pictures, if you want more video, if you want draw, like whatever it is, right? Like you have to really connect with yourself, and then use as a tool for self-expression, which is really what I love about all the different kinds of personal user manual that you find out there.
It does really say something about the person based on how they've created it and how they've organized the information, indeed. And
Yeah,
I'll do my analogy that you've heard before because we've done a number of webinars together on this. But
yeah,
you always mention the connections and the like people reaching out to you on LinkedIn. Well, and I had that profound connection with my father-in-law who saw my personal user manual, saw that I was a huge fan of Depeche Mode, started listening to Depeche Mode just out of curiosity, and then became a fan himself. Now, I've known him for 13 years, and I didn't know that he was into music because nobody else around him was into music. So we never talked about it. And he didn't know I was into music because I never talked about it because nobody else in the family cares at all about music, right? My husband has 3 CDs. I can't even imagine 3 CDs. Anyway, so the fact is that we've connected over Depeche Mode, and finally, we really have something that we can talk about together, right? Because I couldn't connect on sports, he couldn't connect on sewing. Finally, we have something. So
something.
that's
That's
what I
awesome.
love about the personal user
Yeah,
manual.
it
And in a
really is.
remote environment, we do need to find ways of connecting with each other. And if you're just working on work things, it can be really hard to learn something a little bit more personal. So indeed, personal
Exactly.
user manuals are great. However, there's probably some downsides, right? It's not all roses. Any downsides that you can think of?
Like I keep thinking about that, and then for me, that's like when I share a little bit of myself, like I really hope that people will not gonna take that as like the only truth that it's out there, right? Like, or you can use that against me eventually, like
Mm,
I'm opening a little bit of myself in a way that, like I struggle with this, but like I'm working on it as well, right? Like it's not like that that's the only way that I'm gonna be able to work with. If I tell you that I don't know that like we need to work in a specific time of the day, right? Like that's it. That means that I'm not gonna be open myself to work in a different time or with a different team or whatever it is. So I really hope that, even though that I have some preferences and some better ways to collaborate that I already identified, but I'm always, improving and evolving and that's the good thing that I think about the personal user manual that I always say that is an open document, as I'm changing, as I'm learning, as I'm growing as a professional, as a person, I'm gonna be coming back and edit it because like I'm figuring out all the things about myself and about how I can collaborate better with other people on a regular basis, right? So
yeah,
like don't think that because I created that document that it's the only truth that is there, because that's not the case. So I think that that's something that I like to make sure that everyone get it, right? And it's
I
not an
love
excuse for
that.
bad behavior. It really is
Oh.
not.
Oh, right. Just because you put in your personal user manual, like, hey, I'm a jerk, doesn't mean that it's okay for you to be a jerk.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's I totally. I used to work with somebody who had strange rules like that. He had all these, basically the bottom line was he was a jerk. And so he would just tell people he was a jerk and think that it was okay. And in the end,
Yeah,
everybody's like, no, but you're still a jerk. So that's still
yeah,
with the personal user manual, indeed. And so one of the reasons that you've mentioned that you really like it is that it enables us to be more of ourselves at work, that we can bring our authentic self to work. What does that
yeah.
mean to you, bring our authentic self to work?
So one thing that when I was thinking about like it becoming more collaborative person and understanding that is a relationship, right? Um, I figured that in order for me to be better collaborative, I also need to understand my own needs and a lot of times I did not take the time to do that, like we will, at least for me, I was so conditioned in how I can please the other, how I can contribute with you about your needs, about, like it's mostly about the other, and then I forgot about myself. And
Oh,
then when
you're
I
a
start
people pleaser.
totally. totally people pleaser. So
Yeah.
when I was all the time like, okay, I need to figure it out that in order for me to collaborate with the other and really become a collaborative relationship, they also need to know about me. What are my needs? Like how they can contribute with me. It has to come like vice versa, right? And then I start questioning myself, like, what exactly are my needs? Because I didn't take enough time to pay attention to that question. And then that's when I start working on that better. And um, and then I find out that I had so many blind spots in that way, like and I had to take a journey to go back and look inside of me and find out about my fears of even to like be myself, right? Like and really like to be vulnerable and all that, because it's difficult like to put in paper also, like, and share with everyone what are my needs, right? Like I had to work on that to present myself and really, and because I really understood that if it's not like a win-win for both of us, then it's a torture for me all the time. And I can't handle it for really too long, right?
Right.
So
You could
like
do it for a little while. Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
little while, but not for too long, because it's really painful if you are the only one winning and I'm not winning. So like, how can we both win here? And then I decided that if you didn't take the time to find out about me, I had to lead by example, right? I had to really show up and then like forget a little bit about the fears or invite the fear to come along, which is something that I usually share the famous quote from Elizabeth Gilbert that she says, invite the fear to be the passenger, not the driver, right? Like fears are important to remind us, about what mattered to us, but like don't let them drive you to the wrong way. Like invite to come along the journey. And then that's kind of what I did. And then I start to really like connecting with myself, right? First, it's me. Like, what do I need? What can I present myself? What are the really bright side of what I bring to work every day and to connect with people that way. And that's I think that's kind of my journey
How
so
did
far.
you overcome the scariness for yourself of presenting yourself? Because I can imagine, there's a lot of people out there that like you'll make one, but like to send it to other people, that's really
Yeah,
scary. How would you
it
advise people to
really
go
is.
about that?
For me has been like a small process that I do every day, like since the personal user manual is an asynchronous tool. So I will write a little bit, let it sit over there, and then sometimes I will share just like with close friends, right? Or someone that is like, what do you think about this? Do you think that is too much?
Mhm.
It's too little, like, or it's too vulnerable, too scary, like, or whatever it is. And then I would take a little bit of feedbacks from them first and see how everyone liked it or not. And then after that, I will like feel a little bit more comfortable in share with the broad community, because right now my personal user manual it's really available to anyone. But like I know that some people they just share with just a small team, not even with the whole company, right? It's just like here the team of three that's that's
Yeah.
the three of us that need. So whatever you feel comfortable in the beginning, I think that's totally fine as a start point, right? Or even just create for yourself the document and see how that goes. I had many drafts of personal user manual in the beginning. One that I would like just work for myself, one that I would share with one team, one that I would share with my family, one that like whatever whatever it is, like the more details that I find out that it was like, oh, maybe I'm more comfortable to share this. And then I'll move a little bit. So take the time to just like share the little bit that you feel comfortable, and then go from there. It depends of the team, and you don't have to really just like publish whatever
Yeah, you don't have
you're
to put
not
yourself
comfortable.
out
Yeah,
there like,
no,
yeah.
no, no,
I
you
like
really
that
don't.
advice. I like that
Yeah,
advice. Start really small. And indeed, even in the end, it doesn't have to go to anybody, but it's really start with it as an introspective exercise for yourself to understand what is it that you need in order to be
exactly.
productive. And then think about sharing it with other people.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, we're coming to the end of our time, but I've still got a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Let's see. I wanted to ask, oh, why, oh, we just talked about why might we be hesitant? Oh, how can we use it, our manual, in a remote first culture? What are some of the intentional uses that we have for it that you've come across in your work?
So for me right now, I feel that one of the things that really helps me is to network. I think that a lot of people enjoy to read and to really find out like different things that we can have some like really create rapport really, and then connect with each other that way. I I love the idea, and I haven't seen that yet, but it's something that I'm trying to advocate, the more the better. Because I feel that for recruiting process, we should be using more of that. And
Mm.
because like is a synchronous tool, is it something that we can get to know the candidate better, we can get to know even our hiring manager better or our teams better if we get the chance to read a little bit about them, and even to go through like a interview process more mindful, um intentional, because like and even create that rapport for that process prior to going to, because honestly I feel that it's so a nervous wreck to go through that to that process. And if we have the chance to prepare ourselves a little bit in advance, like really like to understand the process. But obviously it's something that we need to create a different process for together, because the hiring process for all companies right now is really messed up. At least
It
that's my
is,
personal opinion.
it does
It is
seem horrible.
not, it's not mindful at all. So it's difficult. But I would say that for perhaps the small companies that are, have the chance to review the hiring process and really think about it, it's something that you can ask the candidate to create, if they don't have a personal user manual yet. Can you share a little bit about yourself other than your resume, right? Because at the end, even though that you have the experience and you have that professional knowledge that you're going to bring to the team, but like, isn't it important that we create the personal relationship as well, like who you are as a person, right? Or what is the environment that you're working right now? What do you have as a structure as a remote work already, or what is better for you? And then all the things that we add to the personal user manual, I think that it will be very helpful. So it's definitely something that I will keep to advocate and see, if we can make the small changes.
Oh, indeed. And so it sounds like throughout the interview process for people trying to get to know you in order to hire you, during the onboarding process, of course,
Oh,
to like get to
definitely.
know the team. And then I think
Hmm.
you and I, we talked about like putting it into team meetings, like, as
Yeah,
icebreaker opportunities could be a really good like inspiration for
exactly.
icebreakers, all kinds of, I mean, we're doing it with networking sort of naturally with all the social networks out there, but it is a good way,
Yeah,
before you get on the phone with somebody, reading their personal user manual, finding out a little bit about them. Like the guy that sends you the happy birthday message on LinkedIn, like you'll remember that forever. That's so nice.
forever.
Like, a
Yeah,
little tip like that can really make the difference in a conversation, depending on what it is. And
exactly.
then I think the last thing that you and I had talked about was we want to build these kind of things into our everyday activities, right? Of getting to know people and really understand people. That's what it's all about. That's what we're always talking about: team building and relationships and finding connection. But what we know is connection happens when we pay attention to each other. And personal user manuals are so awesome for
Yes,
helping pay attention to each other.
exactly. We
So
need the time, we need the intention, right? And then it's such a great tool for that to happen.
indeed, I love it. And I love that we're all branding it ourselves, right? It's not on
Yeah,
some platform
exactly.
somewhere. It's
Yeah,
not going to be changed into anything. It's just
exactly.
what we have. So,
Exactly.
in terms of the I've got two more questions for you, but the
Okay.
last one is: if somebody is just starting out on their personal user manual, how do you start? Like, what would you do if, like, you've got a blank slate? Then what?
Well, oh, that's a difficult question. I would say like is that maybe answering like what is the best way to communicate with you?
Ooh,
like
indeed.
what is
Like,
your
what
preference
tools do you
in,
like?
yeah, what to do like, and then it's funny because like I know that some people really like to communicate verbally. And then some people really like to communicate over email, or some people like to use WhatsApp for that matter, but they don't want text, they want audio message, like whatever it is. I think that it starts from there because that is, like what we're going to be doing on a regular basis. So
And
communication
everybody
preference.
usually knows their own communication preferences. Like, you know, with the
Yeah,
tools that you like, that is a
exactly.
great
Yeah,
place to start.
yeah,
Start
yeah.
with your
I think so.
communication preferences. Indeed.
Yeah.
Like, because my husband, for example, he's a phone guy. He just is like, call him, just call the people. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna call him.
I'm not, yeah,
I'm an email person. Like, I love
yeah,
the email. I don't That's
exactly.
good to know that.
I am an asynchronous person, so like email, even WhatsApp, like don't expect me to reply right away, like so like it's important that you like give me time to process whatever that you're trying to communicate. But I do enjoy like the virtual video calls. I love that. I think for me it's a great way to bond with people. So if like I need that to happen in my teams and anyone that
Totally.
I'm gonna collaborate. So like to have that, like add like if we are just starting, like written communication works great for me, but no, I don't remove that. Like I really need to see you, and feel that live connection happening as well, it is important for me.
I love that. And I can imagine people are like, yeah, yeah, I've got this. And like, that's where you start. Start writing it
Yeah,
down
it's that
and
right
just
there.
figure, yeah, start right there. Love it. All right. Last question is, if people want to learn more about you, where's the best place to find you online?
Well, I would say my personal user manual. It's all
Yay.
there. It's all there. It's all there, including my social media channels, which is basically what I use nowadays. It's just LinkedIn, but yeah. That's a good way. And my email is there as well. And we can always schedule to chit chat because I love chit chat with everyone. But
Not too
send me
much
your
though. You got work to do. Yeah.
yeah, send me the link to your personal user manual because I do want to get to know people before I join on calls and that because it makes a difference.
I love it. So I hope that we have inspired other people out there to start creating your personal user manuals. And if you have any questions about how to do it or how to do it in Notion specifically, then Dea is the woman for you, because Dea, you're like a Notion expert now. I've watched your personal user manual evolve over time, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely link to that in the show notes. Dea,
Thank
thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your experience and your stories. I really appreciate it.
thank you. It's been an honor. I love the podcast and it's really an honor to be here and to share a little bit with everyone.
Thank you. And until next time, everybody, be powerful.